This is a WOWFM warning. We wish to advise that some of the contents on this program may be considered offensive and may not be suitable for all listeners.
Good evening, welcome to High Fidelity for this Sunday. For the first hour, I'm joined by Grey Hearts Red, Andrew and Jarryd from the band. In the studio at the moment, welcome to WOWFM, Jarryd, and welcome back, Andrew.
Thank you, Shannon. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, it's great to have you back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
At least.
And you've been very busy in that time.
Yeah, we have been. We've had a couple of years of just really recording together and putting together like an album.
Yes.
That we've just released. So, yeah.
So 11 tracks, Jarryd. That's
correct.
Like, I tend to have conversations with people who have either a new single or more often an EP, and you've managed to put together an 11-track album. Is that a long time coming? Did it take a while to put it all together?
It did take a little while, yeah. But we also cut quite a few songs, actually, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're pretty sticklers for quality and the way we want it to sound. So if it wasn't working, we actually cut, I think it was 3 or 4 tracks at least in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've only gone with what we feel is the best of the best that we could put out. And I'm an album listener. I don't like listening to singles. So for me, it was always I want a full album because that's what I like to do. Yeah. And listen to. I don't like listening to single tracks.
And so being an album listener and not sort of a more recent generation of just Spotify playlists and shuffle, how much thought went into making sure that the sequence of the album worked?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, we worked on that a fair bit. Yeah. And from my perspective as well, one of some of the best albums is just the way that they're placed and put together. And so we did put a lot of thought and time into how all of those tracks actually sit and move through. So yeah, definitely a lot of thought in that.
Tried to make it a journey.
Yeah.
From start to finish. So you had this feel from start to finish that there was a lot of it's pretty relentless from the get-go, but there's some ups and downs, and there was a lot of thought that went into that, as well as making each individual track listenable as a single, because as you said, today's world is very much listening to individual tracks. So we needed each song to not only work as a whole, which was tough, but also to make sure that individually they worked. Yeah.
And was there sort of the traditionalist thought of those important positions on the album as well, like song 2's important place? Was there a consideration? Did you think about it in terms of last track of side A, first track of side B?
Not so much that, but a little bit, yes.
Yep.
So on the album, I think it's track 7 is probably the ballady song, and that was a deliberate choice, particularly by me, because that's what I've grown to like on albums, and there's that flow and then the album closer, which we're actually playing tonight, Underground, had that continuation feel with it still being a solid song. And so there was definitely a lot of thought from my perspective on making sure it would work if we ever, with a side A, say side B as well.
And to honour that tonight, we're going to just completely shuffle it up and play individual tracks rather than the whole album. So
I knew that was coming, and that's why I say each song does work well by itself as well.
Yeah. So, well, it's also a good way to encourage people to go onto Bandcamp and download the whole thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 11 tracks, that is huge. And so was that music that you have been working on completely for the last has it been 2 solid years of working on those tracks?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And
it's just been moving and placing things in an order that we felt was going to be good. So I think for all of us, and we've got a way of moving now. We've got a system that's working for us, and so we just work with that. But I think it's quite different to any other band that I've been a part of or heard of. So so Ryan is the one who actually places down the track first.
Right.
The entire track. So he'll do the drum the drums, the way that it's set up.
Yep.
And then he gives it to Jarryd, and Jarryd responds in bass and guitar. And then once that's done, then it comes to me, and I have to find the lyrics and the notes to sing to complement everything else that they've done.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, it's quite a different way of doing things.
Yeah, a bit of pressure as well.
Yeah.
He has the hardest job, I'm not going to lie.
And there's been a little bit of a change with the band too, in that Grey Hearts Red's now a three-piece.
Yes, yeah, that was right. So Tim, a couple of years back, became a dad, or was going to become a dad at that stage, and I think it was just time for him to move on to focus on that, and we were quite supportive of that. But for finding a guitarist is difficult. I mean, there's lots of guitarists out there, but the one that we need is really hard to find, and so we didn't spend our time looking. We decided, no, we've actually got a lot of talent within ourselves, and with Jarryd, he can play nearly all the instruments anyway. So for us, it was just let's go with what we've got at the moment, and if somebody comes along, that's great. If not, we'll just continue to plow on the way that we are.
And so if it becomes live, you'll have to have one of those double-necked bass and lead guitars.
I'm not sure I can play both at the same time, but yes.
It'll be impressive.
We'll see. We'll have to cross that bridge when it comes to it.
Yes.
Well, it's actually interesting too, being now like developing into a three-piece, is that the artwork that goes with all of the tracks and leading up to it is the triangle, which kind of fits with a three-piece band. Was that just, it ended up working out that way? Because there were triangles in some of the artwork before this.
Yeah, certainly. I think it was something that we were working with. It's got a lot of meaning for us. It was something that was simple, but something that we could use in lots of different ways. And so for us, it's got that meaning of three of us together. There's three, like the instruments working together as well. So there's a lot more to it than that. And I think that that's what we've kind of grabbed hold of as a logo anyway, something that we can work with.
Yeah, the simplicity of it, and then it just reflects quite well.
Yeah, it does work well. Now, we are going to kick it off with one of the tracks off of the album that, because I have a background in education, I know it's pronounced Vygotsky.
Yes. Yes.
I saw it and it just took me straight back to my uni days.
Wicked. That's so good.
Yes. So it's a very cool track off the album too.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did this one take long to come together? Is there sort of songs that are older on here? What are sort of the oldest tracks that made it onto the album?
Ooh, that's a
good
really
question.
Good question.
That's digging into my memory banks, which is not very good.
Vygotsky was one of the first,
right.
I think, but it wasn't named Vygotsky at that stage.
Right.
So basically all the tracks were like track 1, track 2.
Okay.
So
I think Wolves is the first one on the album.
Yeah,
It was
okay.
the first one we wrote.
Right.
Vygotsky's kind of
in the
a
mist.
little bit early, but it's kind of like the midpoint, I reckon.
Yeah.
And that came together pretty quickly, actually.
Yes.
Right. And for the time it took from when the songs started to be worked on to sort of the release now, how much did they change?
Drastically, but also not much.
Right.
Kind of this one, Vygotsky did change a little bit because we had a few different ideas that we played with on how to end the song. That was, and the midsection in the bridge, and just the playing of the way that the song's structured.
Right.
Ryan had set it out pretty well, and then I didn't like a couple of things that I did, so I had to redo them and get them right, and then just finessing. So it did take a couple months on that one.
Yeah.
And then obviously vocals was a little bit later on, but yeah, took a little while, but...
Well, let's take a listen to the result. This is Vygotsky from Grey Hearts Red's brand new album, Whatever I Have Left, and you're listening to WOWFM.
Satisfied. This is in my head. I overthink what I'm supposed to do. No matter how I try, I never seem to be satisfied. In my mind, time and again, take the blame that is crushing, coming in waves in my head, it keeps drumming. Drop to my knees, say a prayer, keep on running.
And you are listening to WOWFM. This is High Fidelity, and we are going through some tracks off of the Grey Hearts Red album, Whatever I Have Left, which has been out for a couple of days.
Yeah, just
on
only
Bandcamp.
a couple of days. Yeah.
And I noticed it's interesting, you've released it on Bandcamp first, and then it's coming out on Spotify and streaming services. Is it next month?
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, it's an interesting decision.
It wasn't.
No?
It wasn't our decision.
Oh, right.
It was a bit. Well, it worked out well.
It worked
but,
out well.
Yeah, we had some issues with distribution.
Oh, okay. I thought it seemed like one of those things of a nice gesture to sort of pay attention to the people that pay reasonably.
I mean, that's what we did. It was a deliberate choice. Yeah, we deliberately did it. I swear.
The one thing that we did do deliberately was to send it out to the radio stations that have supported us in the past and make sure that they had it before the date when it was going to be released.
Yep.
So all the local radio stations that have been supportive of us, we tried to make sure that they'd get it at least a couple of days beforehand.
Yeah, great. Yeah,
So-
and it's always nice getting a little sneak preview of some of the songs before they're out too. And is it... Well, I was going to ask, but we had a conversation before the show about whether it's a relief to have it out, that you can kind of settle back and go, oh, this is our album, and maybe enjoy it for a while. But you mentioned that there's already work for album 2.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
We're jumping on the train and letting it go and keep
Yeah.
going while the inspiration's there.
Yep.
So is that sense of momentum?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much so.
Well, you mentioned a couple of tracks were left off. Are they tracks that maybe will get tweaked and worked on, or are they kind of left behind?
No, we Ryan more than me, but me in particular as well. We don't like to go backwards.
Right, yep.
So once we've decided a track is no good, we don't tend to go back to it.
Yeah.
We might recycle some stuff, but not the track as a whole.
Yep.
So I might intentionally or unintentionally use a riff, or at least a similar type of riff in a future thing, and Ryan might use some beats and whatnot to bring forward, but the way that they were the ones we cut.
Yep.
No.
So is it a tough decision to cut a song if you've been spending a fair bit of time on it?
Yes and no.
Right.
If it's not working, it's just easy to cut it sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not worth the time and the stress of trying to get it working.
So is there almost a sense of relief when you just go,
Sometimes,
let's
yeah.
get rid of that?
There are a couple of tracks that we did cut that weren't quite working, and part of me wanted to try and make them work.
Yeah.
But then the other side of me was like, we do have enough of other songs, and I had put a fair bit of time and effort into it, and it didn't work.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a history as well of there is a couple of full songs that we had completed and recorded. There's at least one that is on the cutting room floor that will never be released.
Oh, okay.
And that causes me some pain.
Yeah.
But
Understandably.
Yeah. But one of the things about this as well is that it's one of our band things that we've had from the very beginning is that we all have to be happy with releasing it. We all have to be happy playing it.
Yeah.
So when we were doing gigs, if there was a song that one of us didn't enjoy playing, we just wouldn't play it, and it would actually get put to the side. So you only get what the three of us agree on.
Yep.
So
We can be ruthless.
Well, I was going to say, is there a trying to be...
Me more than the others, I think. But
So if there is someone that's particularly attached to a track, does it take a bit of convincing to say, let's cut it?
Oh, no, the ruling is basically if one of us doesn't want it, then it's off.
Right.
And we respect that.
Yeah, it's just a respect thing that... And it's been good decisions.
Yep.
Like, even though
trust.
it's been hard, they're good decisions that we've made.
Yeah. And so how much collaboration is there when it comes to sort of mixing and producing the albums and the tracks?
In regards to the actual mixing,
Yeah, once you've got it recorded, how much are you taking it to the band and saying, what do you think of this?
well, I took it and ran with it.
Yep.
And then obviously presented it what I had done. I did one track to get us all on the same page to understand what sonic sound we're going for. It got them to be okay with it. It actually took us a little while. We had to change a few things.
Right.
We went back to the drawing board for one thing at least once.
Yeah.
And then that was the right decision, which that did suck a little bit because I had put a fair bit of time and effort into that sound there. But Ryan wasn't happy.
Right.
Rightfully so, because we get a better result now than what we had before. So it was a tough decision and it was tough to hear at the time, but it turned right. So there's a lot of collaboration, but I did do the lion's share of it, but nothing happened without their input.
Yeah.
Do you,
As in the final, all the minute little things are all mine, and then
Yeah.
everything else was a band decision to...
and have you kept track of how many hours were involved, or would that just
Not
be
a clue.
too overwhelming to sit down and have a look at how many hours
No,
that
you
they've
don't,
spent?
you don't look at those sort of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
Lots.
Yeah,
Yep.
it would have been lots.
And when you've got that much time, I'm always interested with especially bands that do everything DIY. Because sometimes if you're limited by studio time or limited by maybe the amount of time you can get from someone who's mastering or remixing, when you've got the time to do it yourself,
Yep.
how do you finally decide that it's done?
That is the harder part with it, but I've got to say, I've recorded my vocal parts and sent it off, and Jarryd's listened to them, and he's either okayed some or said, actually, I think that you can do better.
Yep.
And although that's annoying, I go back to it and I came back with a better result.
Yeah.
So I think those sort of things are really important. But there is a stage where you get to, it's just like, that's what I can do. That's what I can manage and achieve. And there is time factors as well for everyone. Like we have day jobs and families and all of that, and they need to see us sometimes. So
Sometimes.
yeah. So those things are really important as well, just to realise that there is still time factors.
Yep.
But I do think that doing it DIY is so much better in getting a better result. And you're not under stress to try and get something working when it's not working. The great thing about having a home studio for me is I could walk in and record, and in a half an hour, if nothing's working, I just can turn around and walk away. And then I can try a different day. Whereas you can't do that in those environments where you're paying for studio time, which we've done before.
Yes.
And it's, we're nervous wrecks by the end of it because we're just trying to do the best that we can, but you're under so much pressure.
Well, let's take a listen to another track. And so we mentioned earlier the oldest track on the album?
From If Memory Serves,
Memory
yes.
serves?
I'm going to go with Jarryd on this one.
I am not 100% sure.
Well, you're the expert, so let's say it isn't.
Let's just go with it.
Let's
If not, it's one of them.
Yeah, so now it is canon that this is the oldest track off of the Grey Hearts Red album. Whatever I have left, this is Wolves. You're on WOW FM.
Free
That is the track Wolves from Grey Hearts Red's new album, Whatever I Have Left. And we're going through a few tracks, and Andrew and Jarryd from the band are joining me in the studio at the moment as we are enjoying listening to it through the station speakers as well. So you were just mentioning while this was going to air, Jarryd, that there is absolutely no reuse of at any point on this album. So every guitar and all the choruses is different and worked through.
Yeah, so everything you hear has been played on guitar and bass.
Yeah.
There's also no synths, no pianos. It's all guitar and all bass. And if I repeated a chorus, I would play it again, not just copy and paste.
Yep.
In the process, and then that always adds a little bit of variance. And then on each chorus, it might have just been an extra layer of something somewhere. I would just add a little bit extra, and so some of them are very minute changes, and may not be noticeable as much once it's been mixed and mastered and all that. But each chorus, when it gets a little bit bigger and there's more, like just slight variances, either because I played it just slightly different accidentally or purposely, or I just added just a variance to. And Ryan did the same on the drums as well, adding variances so that it's not just a copy and paste chorus. Whenever you hear a chorus or a bridge, it's always played like not start to finish the song, but like each section. So if I'll play a full chorus, there's no cuts in the middle of those choruses either. Something that was important to me to keep it real.
Yeah. And so knowing the whole thing so intimately, are there little parts that you notice that bring a smile to your face that maybe other people wouldn't even know is there? Are there little bits that slipped in that you go, oh, I like that little bit there?
I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there is, and because I mixed it as well, I was ruthless when I mixed too. I cut things that I liked because it wasn't suiting the song, which was tough, but I had to just remove myself from being the guitarist and the bassist and be the mix engineer and the producer, knowing full well that I could do it because it's my own stuff. So I was pretty ruthless in cutting things when I needed to as well. So there's a lot that went on the floor within each song as well, with layers that I put in there that just didn't work.
Right. Is that the same for some of the vocals and lines for you, Andrew? Are there parts you've recorded that are cut that don't make it into the song?
Most of the stuff did get in there, but there was a lot of stuff that at the same time was cut. I mean, so there are lines that were cut out, but what I mean is that there were layers that were put in, and they are still there in some form, and they appear and then disappear again in the different tracks. So there are, but I think there were some things
I cut lots.
Yeah.
Some that you probably don't even know.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing though, because when I recorded all of those things, I never intended for everything to be on the track,
which I did know.
Right. And so that was like Jarryd knew that, but you got to give people enough to work with so that they can bring it back to something that's going to be really amazing. So,
And with the vocals coming last, are there times where you are talking back to sort of Ryan and Jarryd and saying, can we add this or can this part be changed? Or is the song set in stone by the time it gets to you?
Like I take it as it's set in stone. Right. And the reason for that is because they've spent a hell of a lot of time already on it. So I try and take it, like I respect it for what it is. I think there's that part of me that even when I first started at Grey Hearts Red, I was always amazed at the music that the guys were producing. And so I didn't want to... I don't like to mess with that so much. It's only in certain bits where I'd go, can we please have another chorus maybe here? Or it's just like, we'll just slowly massage the guys into thinking about maybe doing something differently. But in general, I try and respond to what they've done already, because I believe that the music that they've written has already got a message in it. It's already got something that it wants to say. It's about me being the detective in some ways of trying to work out what they're trying to say and what the song is trying to say.
Right. So when you're writing the lyrics, you write them from the song that's sent to you, or do you have a
Yes.
collection of lyrics that
No,
you
no,
can-
no. It's from the song that's
Yeah,
sent
wow.
to me. So I don't have like a filing cabinet full
No,
of
yeah.
musings of my past 43 years. Like, no.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very much like, what is this song trying to say? What's the kind of feel that's coming off of it? And then the words kind of come from there.
Right.
Yeah.
As I said, there must be an element of pressure to get the right lyrics to fit the song.
Yeah. But I enjoy that.
Yep.
I enjoy because it is like quite a thing to do, and it's different to most vocalists. Like in bands that I've been in before, I wrote the basic line of the song, and everyone else learnt their parts or made some parts around it, and they structured it around what I wrote. This is totally different.
Yeah.
This is me responding to somebody else's work in a way, and then me responding in such a way that it actually works in and makes it a whole.
Yeah.
So it's a great way of working, though.
And it must be interesting, Jarryd, to be waiting for those lyrics to come back.
It can be, yes. Because I like the songs as they are without the lyrics.
Yep.
Like, so I write stuff that I would find interesting even without. And then I sometimes didn't really leave him any space, intentionally or unintentionally, and then he brings it back and he changes the song completely.
Yeah.
Always for the better. If there was ever a time that I didn't think it, I would tell him and I would cut it, and then he would have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I'll try to help him when that happened. I wouldn't just leave it all on him. But we've got a good trust that if someone says something, there's a good reason for it, and there's no offense taken. Even if you love that part, it's like, okay, it's not working for you. I'd go back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Doesn't happen that often, but every time he came back with lyrics or even just melodies on top, it's always like, you change the song for the better every time.
All right. And are there times where it's along the lines of what you were expecting, or is it generally, wow, that's not...
I have no clue.
Yep.
I don't write with the thought of a melody in mind.
Okay.
I just write what I'm feeling with the drums, and sometimes I start at the start of the song, sometimes it's at the end of the song, sometimes it's in the middle, sometimes it's a chorus, and sometimes it's some bass I start. It's really just what I'm feeling in the moment, and then I don't think of melodies while I'm writing, and so I have absolutely no idea what he's going to put in there.
Yep.
And it's almost always a surprise.
Ryan feels the same way about the guitar and bass as well. When he writes it, like he's got in mind like he's done the drums, but he's got in mind this is a track that's going to do this.
Yep.
But that doesn't always happen.
Sometimes it has, and he's going, you've done exactly what I thought you were going to do, but it's better than I thought it would be. And then other times he's like, what?
Well, let's take a listen to another end result with the track Erased. So you're listening to WOWFM. This is Grey Hearts Red.
gradually fade. Doors are locked for your safety. Do as we say. You're secure, protected. Please enjoy your stay. Don't you know the world inside is such a lovely place? And in here, all that you are has been completely erased.
Hi, this is Paul McCartney on behalf of RAD. If you're drinking, you can't drive my car or any car. And remember, don't drink and drive. It's just not worth it.
A message from RAD, recording artists, actors and athletes against drink driving.
I sent you out among wolves, beyond your guard for receiving time. Beware those that will hunt you, they want to bleed you dry. There's men they hide in the shadows, plotting all their wicked plans. Their words are sweet to the sounding, putting chains around your neck. I sent you out. I sent you out. I sent you out among wolves. Trust only those who know my name. There will be those that betray you. On you they put the blame. Do not fear or be afraid. What's whispered at night, speak in the day. The secrets they hold, keep silent. Shout from the rooftops, don't delay. Go with my power, go with my strength. Fight for the truth, put the fake and scorpions under your feet. I sent you out. Do not fear what they hear. What they have, they can't touch you. The kingdom is near. I sent you out. I sent you out. I sent you out. I sent you out. I've walked the path ahead of you. I draw the line of fire. I stand before and behind you. I alone for all of time. I lay my hand upon you. I've made my claim and you are mine. My blood's been spilled. This is not a game. I fight for you alongside. I said I'll never leave you. I will love you till the end of time. When enemies surround you, I am
That is Wolves Part 2 off of Whatever I Have Left by Grey Hearts Red. How long does your voice hold out singing tracks like that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've got used to it over time.
Yep.
So I can go for a lot longer than I used to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for that, for the album, when you're trying to get that real kind of beefy kind of scream or whatever that you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes you've only got like 6 takes.
Yep.
And then after that, it's just kind of like, no, now I have to go and rest my voice for a bit.
Yep.
So what I was doing in the recordings was that I'd do the quieter bits first.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd find the quieter bits and I'd do that. And as my voice got a little bit more rattly, then I'd go, oh, okay, so I can use this for this part. And so I'd record that bit. And then it's like, okay, now my voice is nearly getting towards the end of what it needs to be, so I'm going to do those last tracks.
Yep.
So,
and are you sending every take through to Jarryd, or are you picking and choosing?
No. I pretty much had what I was happy with, and then I'd send it to them.
Yep.
So yeah, I wouldn't just put anything down. It would be like something that I was happy with, and then I'd send that off. And then if they were happy with it, then I wouldn't have to re-record again. But I'd always have to re-record. But anyway, it was all good. But there was always something to re-record or to put something on. But yeah. But as I said before, I just tried to layer the tracks as much as I could, so that when we pulled things out, you could get that full sound.
Yeah. And so there's people who like have hobbies like golf and fishing where they sink their money into buying the latest club or the latest rod or their boat. When you've got home studios and home setups, is that how the hobby money is spent? Is there always that looking for the next piece of gear and the next piece of kit to add to it?
100%.
Yep.
Almost all my money go, and sometimes the wife is not happy I've done it, but she supports me 100%. So I only ever do it when I know I've got the money.
And is there that dream piece of kit that you look at and go, I'm going to get that one day?
No.
No.
I'm a very strong believer in mid-budget, low to mid stuff being exceptional these days.
Yep.
Where you do not need as nice as they are, the top of the line gear. The stuff that's going to cost you a couple of grand worth is not always needed, as evidenced by what we've heard. All of that was done on stuff where I think the most expensive gear was one of my guitars.
Yep.
And that was about a $1,400 guitar.
Yep.
Everything else is cheaper.
Yep. And when it comes to vocals, you just have to get a good mic.
Yep.
I am still working on a 2009 Mac.
Okay.
And recording my vocals through that.
Do you also need not only sort of a tolerant group of people living with you, but also fairly happy neighbours?
Well, the way that I've set up the studio so that there's not very much sound that comes out of it. Yep. So we had a room that was a music room in our house anyway.
Yeah, nice.
So I was able to. I went and bought 3 single beds and stacked them into like a recording booth.
Yep.
And then I built the recording booth like that, and so it's you can't hear anything else.
Yeah.
Unless it's really loud.
Yeah, well, that's right. And I mean, if the kids are screaming or something like that, or playing something in the lounge room, then yes, you'll probably hear that.
He learned that the hard way once. He sent me something and I was like, I can't use it. I can hear the kids screaming.
Yeah.
And is the making music part of it something you schedule or something you just do when the feeling hits?
Bit of both.
Yeah.
So me personally, it's if I've got something to work on. So sometimes Ryan will be 2 or 3 strongs ahead, and then it will just go by when I'm feeling it, and I have the time. So I kind of, without properly scheduling, I will schedule it. But if I'm not feeling it within the first half an hour, all right, don't push it. Don't work harder on something because it's not needed in that moment. It's something I could push through. So if I went into the studio and did it, I would just push through it and come up with something that works. But it may not be as good as if I was feeling it. So I'm capable of doing it, but I've also understood it's better not to.
Right.
I get better results but most of the time, it's pretty rare that happens. It's only like a couple of times that's actually happened. So
for me, it's a little bit different in the sense that I have to kind of work out what the kids are doing, where everyone's at. And if the family's out, that's the perfect time. So if I'm not feeling it, it's like too bad.
Yeah.
It's like you need to push through this and get this done because this is perfect time to record. So do it now.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare that happens to me, but it has happened once or twice.
Yeah. And then when you're in the process of really getting deeply into making the music and writing the lyrics, and especially in sort of putting the music together, are you listening to a lot of other music, or are you trying to avoid other music so that you don't get a style or something stuck in your head?
No, I'm not listening to anything but what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, especially in that sort of process. And for me, lyrically in this album, I poured myself out. And so that's one of the difficulties in releasing this album for me, was the fact that it was so personal.
Yeah.
But I really felt as though that I wanted to be able to connect with the listeners who are going to hear it, and the best way to do that is just to be yourself.
Yeah.
And to talk about the stuff that, was happening to me in that period, in that moment. So there was a bit of apprehension about the album being released because of that. It's the most personal I've been when it comes to lyrics.
Personal lyrics as well. The singles have had lyric videos going with them as well. So that would kind of add to the amount of not only people picking up the lyrics, but they're written for people to see straight away as well. Does that is there a little bit of almost intimidation of having a lyric video going so deeply into the... Yeah,
well, for me, I think if you're going to put it out there, you might as well go all the way.
Yep.
And it's important for me to, like, in some ways, when you're writing lyrics, you want to be known, you want to be understood. And so putting the lyrics out there, and what I'm hoping for is that people can connect it to their own lives, and be able to question things about their own lives, but also kind of connect with the fact that other people do feel those things the same way.
Yep.
And that there are other people out there that are going through this stuff. It's not just you that is facing it. There's other people out there who are collectively feeling that.
Yep.
And for me, that has always been a good thing to hear in songs. I grew up listening to Soundgarden, so Chris Cornell's stuff for me really connected strongly because I felt as though that he understood what I was going through as a teenager and then into an adult.
Yeah.
And I think that those, even though they're mournful lyrics, it wasn't so much about the hope, because there wasn't very much hope in his stuff. But what there was this sense of like, here's this guy who's just pouring himself out. This is where he's at. You're feeling the same way. Yep. It's going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we should get to another track because it's getting close to 9 o'clock. We're going to have a listen to Off Kilter.
Yep.
Yes, one of the album tracks.
Yep. First off the rank, really, after...
Yeah, we have the intro.
After the intro, yeah.
Static that goes in, yeah.
And it's a very good way to kick it off. So this is Grey Hearts Red on WOWFM.
Don't apply. What is it that I'm waiting for when no one blinks an eye? When nothing looks like it's changing, what's the reason to try? When it all seems to add to zero and there's no reason why. When I'm fighting this blood-sucking machine, standing 10 miles high. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step behind. Face my own demons, sword at my side. Making a fortune and weighted just to one side. If the odds are all against me, 3-1 I'll survive. Will I run straight into the conflict or run away and hide? There's courage in this, just plain stupid. No time to decide. Can I fight when I'm only just standing? Hands up and feet tied. Take 2 steps forward, 1 step behind. Face my old demons, sword at my side. Making a fortune in nickels and dimes. What am I waiting for? Now is the time. So long, guilty.
Off Kilter there by Grey Hearts Red, and Andrew and Jarryd from Grey Hearts Red are joining me in the studio. We've been going through some tracks from Whatever I Have Left, which is available right now on Bandcamp and is pretty soon to be available on all the streaming services.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
This is what we hope for.
With the delayed release on streaming services, just so you can have a week or two without burying yourself in trying to check the stats for the tracks all the time.
Yes, that's right.
It's the hard thing.
Yeah, I would just get completely lost doing all of that. I think it would just be insane. So it's been a pretty busy couple of years for Grey Hearts Red, and as we said, it's just continuing with work on the follow-up. Any idea how long that process might take?
No, I think we have to be really careful about doing that. That would probably put the pressure on. In saying so, I'd like it to be at least all my vocals done by mid next year, and all and everything finalized and done. So if it's not there, then something terrible has happened to me. But it's really up to me now in a lot of ways. The boys have got really what I think is quite a strong album. It's just a matter of me actually putting stuff to it and getting it recorded. So the pressure is on. Yeah. And
does it take a while to get those lyrics?
Yeah, this next album that we're doing is probably more technical, and I think the way that it's being played as well, and the differences that we've chosen to go with means that lyrically there's more words, I guess, to start with. And so because of that, you just don't want to be throwing anything in there. You want something that's actually well worth saying, and so is trying to connect that with the song.
Yeah. And how do you see the next album, if all the music's kind of ready to go? How do you see it fitting in with Whatever I Have Left?
It's an evolution.
Right.
So still within the same sort of, like you said, stadium rock sort of feel, with quite a heavy edge to it. There's a lot of that still in it.
Yep.
I think there's even at least one track that's probably heavier.
Okay.
Probably our heaviest track.
Yep.
But overall, it's just learnt a lot from this album and what we liked and what we didn't like, and then stripping the things we didn't like and then putting in the things I did like and refining them, and then also just evolving as human beings and the way we play and stuff like that. So it still fits within Like it's not a genre change or anything like that. It's
we're not going to pop or disco.
Yeah.
So the third album, just so you are aware, is going to be disco.
Yeah.
That would be interesting
Yeah.
to hear. Yeah.
No, just good evolution and
Yeah.
continuing what we've done on this one.
Yeah. But you're not really giving yourself any time to rest.
Why would we do that?
No,
Music is life.
we've only got one time on Earth, so we might as well do it well.
Yeah, absolutely. So people that are keen to hear more of Grey Hearts Red, there's the website.
Yes.
Yes, and then there's also Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And then, as we mentioned, the album is available on Bandcamp at the moment, and then it hits all the streaming services starting next month.
Yeah, hopefully.
Should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Providing nothing else goes wrong.
Oh, it's a build up. Yeah.
Yes.
In sort of marketing, you kind of.
Yeah, we did it deliberately.
Yeah. Holding it back, it's genius. Well, thank you so much for coming and joining me too for the first hour of the show and taking me through some of the tracks on the album, whatever I have left. And congratulations on it. It is a very cool, very strong sounding album.
Yeah, thank you for your support.
Oh, absolutely happy too.
Much appreciated.
So we're going to go out with another one of the tracks off of the album, Underground, which is over 5 minutes. It's one of the epics on the album as well.
It's the album closer.
Yeah, and it's a great way to finish it off. Is this, especially being the album closer, is it a track that just has a little bit of extra significance, being the one that comes last, or?
Yeah, it was actually the only one that I wrote specifically, knowing that I wanted it to be the album closer.
Right. From
the very beginning, it was. I had an idea, and then when I evolved that idea, it was for me always going to be the album closer. So I always, some of those ebbs and flows with it, and the way it ends was always planned, and it's kind of comes a little full circle in the way that it ends. It's reminiscent of the intro track, Static. It's kind of like an idea of that it full circles a little bit.
Yeah.
It's also one of the few where guitars and stuff were written before drums, which is rare for us.
Right. That must be satisfying when it does all just so well too.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of this one too.
Yeah.
All of them really, but
lyrically as well, it's coming to a conclusion. So in a lot of ways, all through the album, there's this throw of like all of these things are happening, and pressures and different things like that. And this song kind of just finishes it all off, just with hope and with like that kind of a piece as well about it as well. So it's really you're kind of going through all these emotions, and then you get to the end and you just go,
Perfect way to finish an album. Perfect way to finish the first hour of the show as well.
Thank you.
So, Jarryd, Andrew, thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
This is Grey Hearts Red with Underground on WOWFM.
There's a light
Greyheart's Red with the closing track of the Whatever I Have Left album, Underground. And a massive, massive thank you to Andrew and Jarryd for keeping me company in the first hour of the show and taking me through some of the tracks of that album, which is available on Bandcamp. Give it a download, support local music. People are putting their passions there, and you can throw a couple of dollars their way instead of streaming for like 1 cent per 1,000 streams or whatever ridiculous amount it is.
WOWFM acknowledges the Kaurna people are the traditional custodians of the Adelaide Plains, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and future. We recognise and respect their cultural heritage, beliefs and relationship with the land. We acknowledge that they are of continuing importance to the living Kaurna people today.
100.5 WOWFM.